Welcome back to my garden, Casual Gardeners. I'm Dustin, and this is Casual Gardening with Dustin. This is a video on a Wednesday. What did you do to deserve a bonus video? Well, if you like my channel, you did something good. And if you don't like my channel, clearly you're being punished. So, I'd like to introduce you to my guest star today. This is my sourdough starter, Michael Bubbly. I named him because naming your sourdough starter is ridiculous, which means everyone should do it. But I learned some sourdough science I thought was cool. And ever since COVID, everybody has sourdough starters, this is going to be relevant, maybe. How is it relevant to gardening? Well, you make sourdough starters from wheat flour, and you can grow wheat in your garden. Boom. Okay, so anyway, there were some researchers, and they've been looking at sourdough starter, because even though human beings have been making probably sourdough since before the dawn of recorded history, there's still a lot we don't know about this. This is a complex collection of organisms living and growing and eating and dying in this jar. Some of it is wild yeast, some of it is lactobacillus and other acetic acid producing bacteria, even though, according to this study I just heard about, nobody knew about the acetic acid bacteria being an important part of sourdough starter until 2020. So recent science all the time. But they're diverse, they're a community, and we still don't know everything that's going on. And now, even more exciting is we can make your sourdough starter even less knowable by increasing its biodiversity. So what these researchers did is they took 5 flours that were derived from wheat flours, so 5 different wheat flours, and then they took 5 gluten-free flours, including amaranth and teff, and I don't remember all of the things. I'm going to link to an article about the study in the description so that you can read it for yourself and get all the details if you want to. But they found that different flours fostered different types and amounts of biodiversity in sourdough starters. It took a couple of weeks to get to a point where the colony changed, but there were distinct and sometimes drastic differences. They found that the most biodiverse colonies were in sourdough starters that were fed rye flour. So I'm going to get some rye flour because I'm a biologist and I love biodiversity. They found that 3 of the gluten-free flours did not support acetic acid producing bacteria, including amaranth flour. And they found that amaranth flour actually made sourdough starter that smelled like ham. So if you love ham, that's good news. And if you don't love ham, maybe don't do amaranth sourdough starter, problem solved. So Michael here has, as of this morning, been fed some whole wheat flour because that's the most diversity-inducing flour I have right now. And I'm going to start feeding Michael rye flour. And Michael Bubbly is going to have a consistent rye flour diet for a while, but since I only feed Michael once a week, it's going to take him longer than 2 weeks to noticeably transform. But I wanted to share this with you because this is a way that you can low-key customize your sourdough starter, which is neat. Science! So the other thing I wanted to talk about is much more and less related to gardening. We grow our gardens so we can eat stuff, right? I got some greens here. I'm eating my greens. Another group of researchers did a study with humans where they were feeding some placebo. Well, no, it was self-control. So basically they took all of their humans and they fed them either a placebo or 30 grams of inulin every day. Inulin is a prebiotic. It's an indigestible sugar that our gut bacteria love. And then they either switched from the placebo to the inulin in the same person, or they switched from the inulin to the placebo in the same person, so that they studied each person with or without the placebo. And that's a really great way to check actual effect versus placebo effect because everybody's different, right? So each person was their own control, which actually makes for a really robust study. But that's not the science I'm talking about. So what they found was when they were reporting on personal cravings for junk food, people who had been eating the inulin for a while had changes in their gut bacteria that actually made them crave junk food less. And while they were on placebo, these same people craved junk food more, like the refined sugar stuff. And so that's good news for people like me. And if you're like me, it's good news for you, because I have a sweet tooth and I'm trying to control it so I can be healthier as I get older and it's harder to stay in shape. And so one of the ways that I've been trying to stay healthier is eating more food from my garden. And it turns out that just eating more food from my garden is also going to help me, if I eat enough, control my cravings for sweets, which will help me get even healthier. And I just thought, that is cool science, I should share it. If you want to be like the people in the study and inulin is your go-to prebiotic, what I would recommend is don't buy the health products with inulin added. Just try to eat fruits and vegetables that naturally contain inulin, like sunchokes are a great example of that. Just eat sunchokes. The problem with the health foods that have inulin added is that they are also a highly processed food, and highly processed foods are exactly what we're trying to get away from in the first place. So, don't do it. Anyway, that's just some science I wanted to share with you. I hope you had fun joining me in my garden and watching me squint past the sun at the camera so I could get good light on my face. You should like my channel and this video, and you should subscribe so that you can get more random gardening content from me. And you should share me with your friends. Thank you for joining me in my garden today, and I hope you have a wonderful time in your own.